Born and raised in southern Sudan, he and his family faced all of the difficulties that a family in that region can face. Now he's here to help his family and to help his homeland. Meet Mandela and his partner,
Welcome to
Conrad
The View from a Pew,
Voice.
a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 244-0077. That's 244-0077. Now here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, welcome back. 3 minutes after the hour. I'm going to date this because there's going to be information put on here that is going to be time sensitive. It is the second day of April in the Lord's year 2015. However, you may be listening or watching this on a podcast hours, days, months, years from now. But I want to date it because it's a time-sensitive interview, and I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm J. Michael McCoy. This is The View from a Pew on the Truth Network, 99.3, also powered by webcast1live.com. We're being produced by Ryan today. My co-host is, of course, The Verse, Frank. And, Frank, you've been asking some good questions in the off-microphone time. So I'd like to, because you're kind of political on that, and I'd like you to chime in here. But I want to introduce you to Conrad Mandsager, who is the founder of an organization called Child Voice, and we'll talk about him and his organization in a minute, but his special guest is Mandela Wani Michael. And Mandela, I'm assuming, named after Nelson Mandela. Okay. Born and raised in South Sudan. I don't imagine under the best circumstances at all times. Got an opportunity to be educated. He did so, and then he returned to his home country to serve and try to help his country get out of some of the difficulty that they're in right now. And Frank, you can talk to him about that in a minute. And he's now teaming up with an organization called Child Voice. And that's childvoice.org, if you want to look that up. I put it on my Facebook if you're a follower. And that's restoring the voices of children silenced by war. Conrad and Mandela, welcome. Conrad, give me the 60-second explanation of what Child Voice is.
Thanks, Mac, first of all, for having us here today. Child Voice exists to help children who have been traumatized by war through a variety of circumstances, whether it's displacement, abduction, forced to become sex slaves, whatever it might be. There are hundreds and thousands of children around the world who are living in conflict zones, who are desperate for help. And what we try and do is provide a therapeutic environment for the very most traumatized of those children.
And that can't be easy work, because my guess is that the enemy doesn't want you helping them. I mean, you're in war zones.
Exactly.
Wow. All right. We'll talk about that. Mandela, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
For those of you just listening and not watching, this guy's got a great smile. Absolutely fantastic smile. But I think you'll hear that in your voice. So what was it like growing up in South Sudan? I mean, as an American, I bet I can't imagine, can I?
Yeah, when I was in Drake University, I told those students, I said, what you saw is like you are watching a Hollywood movie, but we went through the live watching in my country. Yeah, I come from South Sudan, and then I was raised in South Sudan. Until when I joined nursery school. From nursery school, went to primary school up to primary 4, and then war broke out from where I was raised, and then we left our family. We ran to the bush with the hope that in 3 days we'll go back, but unfortunately we could not make it after 7 years. So my parents.
Whoa! 7 years.
Yeah, after 8 years actually.
You're living in the bush.
It's more than that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when when we left the town, and then I followed the sister to my mom, whom I settled with after working for 3 days. And then after staying with the hope of going back to where we had been, and then there was a lot of bombardment from the air, and then also there is a selling of the town, so we couldn't make it. So I stayed with the sister to my mom, and then after realizing there's no school, then I followed other people who are also trekking their way. So I joined them, and then I found myself in a situation where there are a lot of children who are also moving around, but then there's no education. And then the only way is really to become a child soldier. So I joined, we got the training. I got the training for 6 months, 4 days, so we graduated. Our role is actually we are assigned to be the bodyguards of a big man.
You're a bodyguard.
Yeah, our bodyguard, yeah. So, and then after that, when I served, and then life became very complicated to me because my uncle really don't want me to be in the army, and he wants me to find a school. But then there was no school to go to. But then he said, "Oh, you have to find another way to leave this country. Otherwise, if you are here, I'll have problems with you." So my life became also very complicated because my uncle is very fierce person.
Very what?
Very fierce. Very cruel.
Oh,
Yeah.
cruel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I left, and I left the country to seek for refuge in another neighboring country, something like 12 miles out from South Sudan, and that is a country called Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah. So
Okay.
when I went to Uganda, and then I don't know anybody there, and then I joined with the street kids in Uganda.
Okay. I'm gonna ask a stupid question, but I'm famous for this. I know one guy in Uganda, Pastor Sam.
No, that's actually Ghana.
Oh, that's Ghana.
Ghana,
You're
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Oh, all my friends at Hope are laughing at me now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jen, laugh.
Yeah, so-
That's right. That's Ghana. You're
Yeah.
right. So you know Pastor Sam.
I've never met him, but I've certainly heard about him.
Okay. All right. Never
Yeah.
mind. I don't know
Yeah.
anybody in Uganda.
Yeah, so I joined. I was with this. Street kids. Some of them are on drugs, but my agenda was really different, to look for school. So I went to one of the headmasters if he could really allow me to go to school, and then he said, I will allow you to be in this school, but you have to raise part of your money."
Okay.
So what we do as children by then, we break stones, we lay bricks, so that we can get the money to survive. And
You
then
break stones.
Yeah, it's for construction of houses. It's a
Okay.
very common thing, and
All
then
right.
laying bricks at that age. So I did that for about 8 months, and then there was another old woman who helps me to be accommodated within her house. There's a house of 3 meters by 3, but without a door. So she gave me the room. I stayed with her, and then while doing my normal work, then that was the time I left sleeping in the veranda. So when I finished my primary level, then there's time to go to senior 1. We have a senior level in Uganda.
So say that.
Senior.
Which would be like high
secondary.
school.
Okay.
Secondary
Okay.
school.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then when I joined senior 1, life became very complicated because the school fees also increases. So I applied to become a porter.
A potter.
Porter.
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 Yeah, something like people who carry things on your bag.
Like a hotel porter.
No, loading and unloading
loading and
of trucks.
offloading trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We don't use machines at home. So I did this work for 4 years so that I can raise money for myself and money for my food. So the work became very intense because in a day we load some 25 to 30 tons
Wow.
of food.
What would you make in that day?
Like how much I make?
Yeah.
It's something that really minimal. Something like maybe in a day we could make about $6, and that's after carrying about 30 tons a day, and we are 9.
$6.
Yeah,
So you split the
$6.
$6 between you?
Yes, I have to. No. This is per each.
Okay.
Yeah,
$6.
yeah, per each.
Now,
So-
where's your mother at this time? Is she still in the bush?
No. I'm coming to the point.
Okay. All right. You
Yes,
go ahead.
Yes, I'm coming to the point. So after completing,
Never interrupt a story.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get it sorry. So when I finished Form 4, after all this work, I developed back pain, and then there was a lady who works for this international organization where I was volunteering as a porter. She was from Norway, and then she said, "I've seen you struggling in life. What is your problem indeed?" Then I said, "I have 2 problems. One, I just wanted to go to school, and secondly, I want to locate where my parents are because it's now about 6 years. I don't know where they are." So after that, then she said, "Okay, I've seen the struggle that you're going through. I will support you for the 2 years so that you finish those 2 classes, that is Form 5 and Form 6. So I completed those level, and then after 6 months, he wrote me back that I want you to go to university.
Oh,
To
cool.
me, it becomes really a big dream. He said, I'll pay using my own money and whatever it takes, because I've seen the zeal in you. You need to get to school.
So what university did you go to?
I went to Uganda. The university, one of the universities in Uganda.
In Uganda,
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, and that's why I completed 3 years. After 3 years of my completion, when I was in first semester, is when I got the news that my parents are in a foreign land in Uganda again as refugees.
So there, your family's in Uganda.
No. When I realized my parents exist, but they're in a foreign land as refugee in Uganda again, without knowing where they are before. So I do visit them. But when I finished my university education, then I was posted to go to Nairobi for internship, so that I could be sent to come and handle the organization in South Sudan. That was in 2005 now.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the position. I went back home. I was very happy to be home. And then I worked for 2.5 years. And then I left. Then I worked with different 3 international organizations. Not until I was also recalled to go to our state parliament in charge of training on accountability and good governance.
Wow.
So that is the kind of life I went through. But generally, it's a big dream for our nation, because when we became a nation in 2011, we something that we couldn't believe, but we are there to serve.
Frank, do you have a question for him?
Well, is your country currently war torn? Would you describe it as war torn?
Yeah, similar to South, because if you really see what is happening today, it's something that we can't define in the country, but it's a meaningless war.
Yeah.
Generally, and then unfortunately, it is something to do with also education. In my country, illiteracy is about 83%. It's something that you can comprehend really. So it's really a war-torn region, and then it is becoming almost fragile, but we will.
Do you think, in your opinion, the United States has kind of thrown in the towel on your country?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of international organizations are leaving the country. And that actually sends a very shocking raise to us as Southerners, because United States had been a very, very good friend of South Sudan. And when we see international organizations that are funded by USAID are pulling out, it also sends us a signal that another problem is coming. But we believe here that we also need to be mentored by United States. They have been so good friend to South Sudanese.
Who is your enemy? Who's fighting you?
Originally, our war is between the Northern Sudan, which is Arab-dominated nation, and South Sudan.
Okay.
But the current crisis I'm talking about is a homemade crisis, and it's a kind of political crisis.
Okay.
Yeah, that to me, I just call it being spearheaded by greed.
Okay.
Yeah, for power. But it is something that we didn't believe it will happen, but it has happened. But
do you have freedom of religion in South Sudan?
Yes, we have freedom of religion.
All right. And what is the primary faith? Is it Christianity?
Christianity is the primary faith. Christian constitute almost 99% in South Sudan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So what happens currently is to do with actual leadership. We have most of our leaders, of course, are from military background.
Okay.
Who become actually politicians. But then there's this clash sometimes when you sit as military men and then politician. There would be a clash in opinions.
Okay.
So it's actually it's conflict on opinion, but there's hope. At least at the end of the day, we know there's a lot of peace process that is going on in Addis Ababa. At the end of the day, I think we will be able to reach a very tangible results.
His name is Mandela, yes, named after that one, and he is on a mission. He's on a mission to help his country get free from the violence and the torture that's going on in the war, and also to help an organization called Child Voice. When we come back, the founder of Child Voice, Conrad, will be here to tell us all about that organization and how you can help. Live here on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can give these grandkids back, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We can help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's AMCO on Hickman Road in front of Kmart, and it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give AMCO on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent you.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, welcome back. Our special guest today, we have two special guests. First is Mandela Wani Michael, born and raised Southern Sudan. We just heard his story. He's helping an organization that we're going to hear from now called Child Voice, and you may have heard it in the past as Child Voice International. And the founder of that organization, Conrad Mandsager, is in the studio. How long ago did you found this?
We started in the spring of 2006.
Why?
Great question. I've worked most of my professional life in working with at-risk people groups. I worked for Prison Fellowship for a number of years. I was with Johnny Erickson Tata's organization. And then was in a consulting capacity with other Christian organizations that were working with at-risk people. And a friend of mine called me in 2004 after being in South Sudan. This guy was the international director for Feed the Children. And said, I've just witnessed the most horrific thing I've ever seen with children. And he went on to describe the fact that 30,000 kids had been abducted by this rebel group called the Lord's Resistance Army. And in that time frame, 2004, thousands of these kids were escaping, coming home, and finding themselves being rejected by their own families and communities because of the fact that now they were viewed as rebels, they were viewed as third culture sort of kids. And so thousands of these kids were just literally more or less had no hope, had no place to go. And so to make a long story short, Ian Lethbridge and I began to brainstorm a way that we might be able to intervene. Our goal was not to start another organization. Our goal was to come alongside the larger NGOs and say, we have a plan that would, or a strategy that would help you do more effective work with this population of kids. Nobody was interested. March of 2006, when I went after interviewing hundreds of kids in the refugee camps, I was convinced somebody needed to do something. And so we basically cashed it all in to start Child Voice back then.
I want to read you a part of a letter from a young lady by the name of Vicky. She said, "My name is Vicky. Rebel soldiers abducted me when I was 10 years old. Forced to become a slave to my captors, my life was brutal and beatings were frequent. I was continuously confronted by death and carnage, and by the time I reached 20 years of age, I had given birth to 4 children, but only one, named Dorothy, survived. After 18 months with the rebels, my daughter and I were released. But the horrors of my experience had taken a serious toll. I left angry, afraid, and worst of all, unwanted. Thankfully, my story does not end there. I was brought to Child Voice. There, I was given a safe place to live and counseling to help me cope with my past. I received a basic education while becoming prolific in saloon, sweater weaving, and bakery. After 18 months at the Lukomi Center, I returned home to my village. Child Voice had restored my hope and confidence. Today I work in the hairstyling industry and am now able to support myself and my family." What a wonderful testimony. Now, you must have campuses? Is that
We have one.
We have one.
And we set it up as a pilot because everyone was telling us what we were trying to do would not work. They said, if you bring these kids into a residential setting, you'll create more dependencies in these kids. And we couldn't get any support. UNICEF, for instance, refuses to support us because they say that the kind of work that you're doing needs to be done through community-based systems. But what I found is that these girls could come out for 2 to 4 hours during the day to a program, but they were going home and they were being raped every night. And there was no significant change that was going to happen until they found themselves in a sanctuary setting. So that was the model we set out to prove starting in 2007. And 5 years later, we've seen 93% of these girls able to go home and reestablish themselves and their kids in their communities and families. Now we're ready to start replicating this into other conflict areas like South Sudan.
It says in a pamphlet that Conrad gave me, we speak for thousands of children, rendered voiceless by horrifying brutality and unimaginable inhumanity. We believe in the Bible principles of change and forgiveness, and we act on the conviction that children broken by war can be restored in safe communities with loving care, spiritual and emotional counseling, effective education, and training. That's who Child Voice is. Frank?
Conrad or Mandela, either one. What's the biggest obstacle? Is it bickering among politicians, or is it more inner struggles among Christian groups in the support of your effort?
Well, I think it's the biggest challenge we face is a philosophical one, which says that these sort of programs, and this emanates all the way back in the 40s here when we, as you might remember, we had many of the folks who were mentally ill living in institutions. We then said, that's not a good thing. We need to empty our mental institutions, which we did. But in swinging 180 degrees to that place, we ended up with a large homeless population that we still struggle with today. For certain vulnerable populations, this type of program is necessary. But we have a very difficult time convincing those who are in policymakers in the international community that this is the thing that's needed. UNICEF, for instance, controls virtually all of the money for child services that come into South Sudan. They have refused to even come and look at what we do, saying, we don't believe in what you do, and therefore we have not been able to access any of those funds. And Mandela can tell you what's happening with the demobilization of child soldiers there now through UNICEF's efforts.
Yeah, that's true. You see, like for example, if a child that has been in war for about 4, 5, 6 years. And then this child is demobilized. He's supposed to go home to where he comes from. And then for example, UNICEF takes this child for only a week or 2 weeks, and then is reinstated, maybe resettled back to where he comes from. And this child, actually, there's nothing that he can do that is more productive to his life. So why not really, welcome organization like Child Voice that mentors this child for about 18 months with the skills that they'll be able to acquire, whether it being carpentry, whether it being construction, or whether it being tailoring, so that the knowledge and skills that they acquire, they can be able to implement it home, you see? So that you become productive to your own community. But unfortunately, 2 weeks or 3 weeks is nothing. And this child will still go back to their former behavior, because trauma also plays a big role. So it's better to engage a child that is demobilized. It is a liberation of the mind, so that your mindset is focused to doing something that is productive than you think about your past art. And that's why we're really hoping that organization like Child Voice, if they can be able to use the same model they're using in Uganda, is replicated to South Sudan, so that we use these young men to benefit from this training, that would be fine.
It is. We heard that story on the news about a year ago, wasn't it? That a whole bunch of girls were kidnapped
in Nigeria.
Yep. And these barbaric people don't see them as anything other than something they can use and throw away. What you do with these ladies, you must be like Christ to them. I mean, not you personally, but your organization. They learn biblical principles on caring and forgiving, and they must feel as if Jesus himself has showed up to help them. Because without you, what happens? Nothing, right?
Oh, many of these girls would commit suicide.
And I don't want to get down on the other organizations, but I just find it difficult for other organizations to be so fearful of getting in and getting their hands dirty. And I'm sure they get their hands dirty, but it doesn't get much dirtier than this. Going in and saving these girls' lives. I love what this girl, Vicky, says. I mean, she writes it right there. You were brought to Child Voice. You were given a safe place to live, counseling to help me cope with my past, a basic education while learning to do stuff. So when she got out into the world, she had a way to make money and take care of herself. Can you, I didn't tell you this before, so if I catch you off guard, but tell me some more about the Vickies. You must have some particular in your mind of some females, some ladies, some girls, some women, some children that you've helped.
Well, one girl that comes to mind is a girl by the name of Beatrice. She was abducted when she was 7 or 8 years old. She went to the bush. In her case, she was not only a sex slave to the commanders, but she was a fighter. She was trained to use a weapon. She fought. And in the course so she was taken to the training fields of the LRA in South Sudan as a young child. During her time, the 10 years or so she was with the rebels, she had 4 children. Only 2 of them survived.
Now, I want to stop there. What does that mean? Does that mean they died at childbirth, or after they were born, the conditions were so difficult that they couldn't survive?
Or they were killed in a firefight. We've heard stories about babies being shot off the backs of their moms.
Wow. We don't know how good we've got it in Des Moines, Iowa, do we?
No, and I think the thing that I continue to be amazed at is the resiliency of people like Mandela, the girls we're talking about. I mean, Beatrice, when she came to Child Voice, totally destitute, HIV positive, only 1 child left. And she has just as committed as Mandela was to get an education, she wanted to become a hairdresser. She left Child Voice without any help from anybody. She started a salon in Gulu. She's making money now. She's saved enough money. She's going to open a hotel.
Oh, wow.
last time I talked to her, she was actually interviewing a recent graduate of Child Voice to come work for her in her salon so she could expand her business. You wouldn't recognize this girl today. I mean, she's beautiful. She's, she's praying in a local church. Her life is transformed.
I just wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to make this. In post-war events like, trauma captures a lot of people. Traumatic stress.
Traumatic?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of
post-traumatic stress.
Post-traumatic stress plays a very, very, very big role in many societies in South Sudan, or whether in Uganda today for those who are abducted by LRA. But then, unfortunately, their main international organization comes with a way of counseling.
Okay, counseling.
Counseling and even prescribing some pills or drugs so that you can be able to forget the past. But that's not the solution. The only solution is that organizations that are founded on Christian values plays a very significant role in mentoring this child so that you can be able to forget your past. Because without the Word of God, honestly speaking, you will never forget what you think. You see, and personally, I survived like that. I was going through a lot of hard time, but then when there's a certain old man said, you need to try Jesus, maybe it will help your problem. And that was when I tried. He said, if you try, it doesn't work, leave it.
Yeah.
So when I tried, indeed, not until today, I forgot my past. I mean, 98% I've forgotten my past. Yeah. And that's the only hope that an organization like Child Voice can be able to facilitate in that.
All right. I want to thank you both for being here. And I appreciate the time that you've spent with us. Ryan, are we coming up on a break here? Okay. We're coming up on a break. I want to thank you very much for being here. We've got other guests that are coming in here in just a minute. But thank you very much. Thank you for the work you do, Conrad. God bless you. God bless you and your family, and you too, Mandela. We're coming back live on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.